Okay, I would like to tell you true story, and it involves this old plastic card box that, of course, contains a deck of cards, but it also includes this. Now, this is a piece of paper that is basically a copy of a photograph. And the photograph, if you take a close look, has three people in it: a man, a baby, and a very old woman. Now, that man there happens to be my father, believe it or not, and that child you see there happens to be me. But this is not about us. Nope. This is actually about this lady right here. This is Baba. Now, she was our first and only landlord when my parents got married. She rented out her garage to us. And that's where we began our family life. Anyway, this is about Baba. Now, Baba, her name was Anastasia Borzak. She came from Russia with her husband, and he was a coal miner, and he passed away in the mines. An accident. Of course, in those days, things were pretty rough. She was known throughout the town because she was a kleptomaniac. She would pick up things everywhere, whatever she needed to make her life of survival last one day longer. At any rate, people in town soon noticed one day that Baba wasn't around. So they sent the constable to her house, and they found her there in her kitchen, dead, sitting there, eyes wide open, staring ahead, actually playing a game of solitaire. Now, in her hand, she had a single card. Now, at this point in the story, no matter who's telling it, everybody listening always says, "And what card was she holding?" Well, actually, they didn't know for sure. But they'd either make up a card or they'd have people choose a card and say, well, that was the card that she was holding in her hand, for example. Well, cut the cards, choose a card, whatever it is. What do we have? 9 of clubs in this case. Let's say that was the card she had in her hand. The point is, that wasn't what was important. What is important to this story is this: 2 half-dollars, silver half-dollars. They had silver. We actually had silver in our money back then. 2 silver dollars. When the sexton from the Greek Russian Orthodox Church came to bury her, and she was getting a pauper's burial because she was so poor, the tradition back then was to place a coin on the deceased or the corpse's eyelids. The idea being that the eyelids wouldn't all of a sudden flash open as the body began to deteriorate, or as some people believe, sometimes you had to pay your way into the next life. Who knows? At any rate, the sexton at that time was a man named Jeremiah Doofus. Jeremiah put the coins on her eyelids, and right before he closes the box, the coffin she is in, he realizes and says to himself, money's hard to come by these days, and that's a lot of money. That's a whole dollar. Back then was a lot. So he takes the 2 coins and he throws them and puts them in his pocket. Buries Baba, goes home. While he's walking home, he hears this clanking in his pockets. The coins are rattling. In fact, they seem to be getting even louder and louder. He'd swear that people who walked by would look at him strangely as though they could hear the coins in his pocket. Well, he gets home to his shack, and he simply gets rid of the coins, places them in a box, and places it on a shelf in his house. It's been a long day. Jeremiah has some leftover stew or soup from the day before, some homemade elderberry wine, gets a fire going in the fireplace. It's windy and cold outside. There's a lot of cracks in his shack, but he falls asleep. And no sooner than does he fall asleep than the door opens with a bang, and there Jeremiah sees this vision. It looks like, yes, it looks like Baba. She's there with her eyes wide open. Her hands are reaching out. She's saying something. What's she saying? I want my money. I want my money. At that moment, the coins in the box on the shelf begin to rattle. Baba begins to float across the room. And pretty soon the coins stop. And when the coins stop, Baba disappears. She vanishes. Well, Jeremiah stood there frozen for a good 5 minutes. Then he realized the damn door was still open, so he shut the door, goes over and looks in the box. And he looks in the box, and of course, there are no coins there, but there is a single card. And the card happens to be the same 9 of clubs. Needless to say, Jeremiah never again stole the money from the eyes of a corpse.